The introduction to the Battle of Agincourt sets the stage for understanding one of the most significant conflicts of the Hundred Years' War, which took place on October 25, 1415. This battle is renowned for its dramatic demonstration of strategy over strength and the impact of terrain and weather on warfare. The Battle of Agincourt remains a poignant example of how underdog victories can reshape historical narratives. The significance of this pivotal engagement lies in its unexpected outcome. The English forces, led by King Henry V, were heavily outnumbered by the French. Yet by leveraging innovative tactics and exploiting environmental conditions, they secured a decisive victory that showcased the effectiveness of longbowmen and highlighted the vulnerabilities of heavily armored cavalry. This triumph not only solidified Henry V's reputation as a military genius, but also shifted the power dynamics in the Hundred Years' War, influencing subsequent military strategies. Two notable instances underscore the importance of the battle's setting. Firstly, the narrowness of the battlefield, flanked by dense woodlands, neutralized the numerical superiority of the French army, forcing them into a bottleneck that favored the English archers. Secondly, heavy rainfall had turned the ground to mud, impeding the movement of the French cavalry and knights, whose armor became more of a liability than an asset on the soggy field. These examples illustrate how situational awareness and exploiting environmental factors can turn the tides of battle, a principle echoed in modern military doctrine. Historically, the Battle of Agincourt has been lauded for its demonstration of strategic brilliance over brute force. Military historians and enthusiasts often highlight Henry V's leadership and the role of the longbow in revolutionizing medieval warfare. However, there are also controversies and debates surrounding the battle. Some critics argue that the brutality towards captured French nobles, whom Henry ordered to be killed, casts a shadow on the perceived nobility of the victory. Additionally, alternative perspectives suggest that the French defeat was as much due to their own disorganization and underestimation of the English as it was to English tactics. This introductory point about the Battle of Agincourt not only provides context for the ensuing narrative of the French debacle, but also influences our understanding of subsequent military engagements during the period. It underscores the importance of strategy, adaptability, and the role of environmental conditions in warfare. Themes that resonate throughout history and continue to be relevant in contemporary military strategy discussions. In examining the political and military context of 1415 within the narrative of the French disaster at Agincourt, it is crucial to explore the geopolitical landscape that shaped this monumental clash. The year 1415 sits against the backdrop of the Hundred Years' War, a protracted conflict between England and France marked by intermittent battles over claims to the French crown. This ongoing war profoundly influenced both nations' political and military strategies. England, under King Henry V, sought to capitalize on France's internal strife, including the civil war between the Armagnacs and Burgundians, which weakened French unity and stability. Understanding this context reveals why Agincourt was more than a mere battle. It was a pivotal moment in medieval history. The significance of this context lies in its illustration of how political fragmentation in France and strategic prowess in England led to the latter's unexpected victory. English forces, albeit outnumbered, leveraged innovative military tactics, including the use of longbowmen, which devastated French knights bogged down by muddy terrain. A tactical brilliance underscored by the chaotic French political environment that had failed to effectively coordinate its superior military resources. A real-world example of this can be seen in the Treaty of Troyes in 1420, following Agincourt, where Henry V was recognized as heir to the French throne, dramatically altering the future of both nations. Additionally, the battle demonstrated the effective use of combined arms tactics, a military strategy where different combat arms support one another, setting a precedent for future engagements in European warfare. However, the period also invites several alternative viewpoints and controversies. Some historians argue that the victory at Agincourt, while significant, was not a decisive blow to French capabilities due to the eventual resurgence of French forces under leaders like Joan of Arc. Others note the ethical implications of Henry V's decision to execute French prisoners, reflecting on the brutal nature of medieval warfare. This political and military backdrop intersects with other aspects of the Agincourt narrative, such as the role of leadership, the evolution of warfare tactics, and the shifting dynamics of power in medieval Europe. It underscores how the fragility and complexity of political alliances can impact military outcomes and alter historical trajectories. offering a rich tapestry for understanding the broader implications of the Battle of Agincourt. This context not only informs our understanding of the past, but also offers timeless lessons on the interplay between politics and military strategy. The strategies and tactics of the English army at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415 were pivotal in turning what seemed like a dire situation into a legendary victory. Despite being heavily outnumbered by the French forces, central to the English approach was their innovative use of longbowmen, coupled with strategic positioning and psychological warfare. The English army, led by King Henry V, relied heavily on the longbow, a powerful weapon capable of firing arrows at great distances with devastating force. The significance of this approach cannot be overstated, as it allowed the English to effectively neutralize the numerical advantage of the French cavalry and infantry. One real-world application of this strategy was the English army's choice of battlefield. They selected a narrow strip of land flanked by woods, which funneled the French forces and neutralized their larger numbers. This terrain allowed the English longbowmen, positioned on the flanks and behind defensive stakes, to unleash volleys of arrows that decimated the advancing French knights. Another example was the disciplined English infantry, who held their ground and protected the longbowmen, creating a cohesive and resilient defensive line that withstood repeated French charges. Supporters of these tactics emphasize King Henry V's leadership and the innovative use of technology and terrain to maximize the effectiveness of the English forces. The success at Agincourt is often attributed to these astute strategic choices, which not only won the battle, but also had a lasting impact on medieval warfare, demonstrating the rising importance of infantry and ranged weapons over traditional cavalry charges. However, this reliance on archers and terrain has been the subject of some debate. Critics argue that the English victory was also due to the poor coordination and overconfidence of the French, who underestimated the effectiveness of English tactics. Furthermore, the heavy rain prior to the battle turned the battlefield into a quagmire, hampering the advance of the heavily armored French troops and inadvertently aiding the English strategy. These tactics influenced other aspects of medieval warfare, particularly the decline of the feudal knight and the rise of infantry-based armies. The success at Agincourt highlighted the importance of flexibility, preparation, and adaptation in military strategy, inspiring future commanders to consider a wider array of tactical possibilities. The battle remains a testament to the impact of strategic innovation, even in the face of overwhelming odds, shaping the course of military history and reinforcing the narrative of Agincourt as a legendary English triumph. The term French preparations and missteps refers to the series of actions and strategic decisions taken by the French leading up to the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, which ultimately culminated in a disastrous military defeat for them. This is a pivotal aspect of the story, as it highlights the overconfidence and tactical errors that contributed to the loss against a numerically inferior English force led by King Henry V. The significance of French preparations and missteps lies in how these decisions affected the course of the battle and, by extension, the 100 Years' War. The French, confident in their superior numbers and heavy cavalry, failed to adequately plan for the terrain and underestimated the effectiveness of the English longbowmen. This overconfidence led to poor decision-making, including the choice to engage the English on a narrow, muddy battlefield that neutralized their cavalry's effectiveness and played to the strengths of the English archers. One specific example of these missteps was the French underestimating the logistical needs of their army, which resulted in exhausted and hungry soldiers at the onset of the battle. Additionally, the French nobility's insistence on leading the charge, despite the unsuitability of the terrain for a cavalry offensive, illustrates the detrimental effects of pride and lack of coordination among the high-ranking officers. This not only impeded the French effectiveness on the battlefield, but also caused chaos within their ranks. Some historians argue that the French defeat at Agincourt was less a testament to English superiority and more a consequence of French arrogance and poor planning. These opinions emphasize that while the English executed their strategy with precision, the French had every opportunity to avoid such a catastrophic loss with better leadership and planning. However, there are challenges and alternative viewpoints surrounding this notion. Some argue that the French were simply unfortunate in terms of weather conditions and battlefield choice, and that these factors would have derailed even the most meticulously planned assault. Others suggest that the French were constrained by societal norms that emphasized chivalric combat and personal valor, which overshadowed pragmatic military considerations. The French preparations and missteps not only highlight the vulnerabilities of medieval warfare, but also underscore the importance of adaptability and foresight in military strategy. These events directly influence the dynamics of the Hundred Years' War, as they led to a series of consequences, including shifts in morale and military tactics. The lessons learned from Agincourt would resonate in future conflicts, emphasizing the critical role of leadership and planning, and in many ways, setting the stage for the evolution of warfare in the late medieval period.